Hey, Brad Nickum, tasting tequila. Today we have an awesome treat. One of my buddies is going to do a blind taste test of two fantastic añejos, Sean Daniels. Stick around. All right, Sean, how you doing, buddy?
I'm doing wonderful. Thanks for having me.
I'm so excited to have you on and taste some tequilas. I know that you're more of a bourbon guy than a tequila guy, right?
Oh, yeah.
Okay, so I pulled down two fantastic añejos. Do you know what an añejo is?
I do not.
Okay, so, if you look at the bourbon world, right, they take a white dog, right, which none of us drink.
Yeah.
Nobody drinks just straight white whiskey.
No.
They take that and they put it in the barrel, and then that barrel ages, and it brings out the flavors, okay? A Blanco tequila is a white dog, right? So when it comes to tequila, you can't have a good añejo if you don't have a good Blanco or a good Repo. So a Blanco is no aging at all. A Repo is aging 6 months to a year, and an Añejo is a year up to 3 years, and then the extra Añejo is more than 3 years. So it's really about the juice that goes into that barrel, where bourbon is more about the barrel.
Yes.
And a lot of these tequilas are aged in bourbon barrels. So you get some bourbon flavors, some bourbon notes, but if you don't have a good tequila, it doesn't matter how good the bourbon is, right? Or the barrel is. So I got you two of the best. We don't know which is which, right? So that way we can try. One is Cascawin. Cascawin is a lowlands agave. That means it is made in the low area of Jalisco, which is a state in Mexico. So this is actually made in the town of Arenal, which is close to the town of Tequila.
You just got back from Mexico.
I did, yeah. I just got back from Cabo. And in August, we were actually in Tequila. We went to this distillery, Costco. This was picked up at that distillery.
And I appreciate you opening that.
I opened it for you. That's right. So
guys standing up here on this bar.
Way at the top. I need one of them ladders like in a library.
Yeah, you do. You do. That was dangerous.
No, I'm sober. So this one's a lowlands agave. So grown at the base of the volcano that's in Jalisco. Okay. And then this tequila here, the master distiller is Ana Maria Romano. Okay.
And it's got a little guitar pick on it.
Yeah. The owner of this tequila, the founder, is a guy named Brad. And Brad had this really amazing passion for tequila and music, and he died tragically, and the brand went away, and it sat dormant for several years. And his best friend, who is a restaurateur who lived in Scottsdale, his wife said, look, the brand's in bankruptcy, and now would be a great time for you to buy it. And he bought it because he loved the tequila, and he wanted to still have it in his store. Once they ran out of the tequila, he was pitching the brand for people to start, and there wasn't anybody that would take it. So he met with Brad's daughter, who became a sommelier in the wine business, and said, "Hey, let's go build this tequila brand." Ana Marie, who's one of the most famous female master distillers in all of Mexico, was already working with Brad, and they met with her, and she explained all these ideas that they had, and they said, "Okay, let's make it."
Does she do bourbon too?
No, she's just a tequila master distiller. Tequila. Okay. She actually created the tequila tasting wheel, which helps you define the flavors, aromas, and tastes within tequila. And so these guys are using a bourbon barrel.
Okay.
These guys, they use what's called a symphony of whiskey barrels. And that's because they use a bourbon barrel, a barrel from Missouri, and a Hungarian barrel. And they buy these barrels and they ship them to Mexico, and they're, of course, taken apart, right, to ship.
Yeah.
And then when they put them together, they use a Missouri stave, a bourbon stave, a Hungarian stave. So every third stave in this barrel is different. So then they really felt that gave something to the tequila that nobody else had in the market, right? So each place is making tequila the same way. It's water, yeast, and agave. Those are your three ingredients.
What's agave look like? What's that plant?
See that right there?
That's an agave plant?
That's actually an Americana agave, but a blue agave is a little bit smaller, but looks just like that.
So just so you all know, it's like it's probably what, 5 foot?
And that one's
5 foot tall. So how long does it take to grow?
So a blue Weber agave takes 8 years to grow to maturity.
So 8 years in order to actually use it to make tequila.
Right. So I always say when you're drinking a glass of tequila, you're literally sipping 8 years of sunshine.
Yeah.
Now, why can each tequila
Versus like a wheat bourbon
every year?
corn
even
bourbon.
a wine.
Yeah, or rye.
Right.
Like that doesn't take very long.
Every year.
Yeah.
Like new.
Yeah.
And you know, they talk about the terroir of wine, right? Where wine comes from gives it its flavor.
Yeah.
Right. That's terroir. Well, agave has the same thing. But now this field, this dirt, has grown this agave over 8 years. So 8 years of sunshine and rain and, you know, the what's in the area.
How much will a plant that's mature make?
So I think it's one piña is.
And then what's a piña?
That's when they cut the leaves off. That's the agave plant.
Per leaf is a piña?
No, they cut all of the leaves off and the nut part that's left of that agave plant.
Yeah.
It's called a piña.
That's where they don't use any. Okay, I gotcha.
So after all the leaves are cut off, it actually looks like this glass.
Okay.
Like a piña's pineapple. So if you think of each one of these as a leaf, and the humidors, those are the guys that work in the field. You've seen probably tequila called humidor. A humidor, that's the guy that cuts those off. They use this big giant, like round machete called a koa.
Which you should have hanging.
I don't have a koa. I probably need a koa.
We'd be wielding that.
So they cut all those off. They pull it out of the ground, and then they cut it in half. And then at the top of the piña, there's the heart of the plant that grows up that makes the makes the quiote, which is what flowers. It leaves this little chunk in there called a cogoya, and it's very bitter. So they cut that out of the agave plant before they break it.
Did you get to watch them do this?
Oh, yeah. We've seen the whole process.
How long does it take them?
To cut?
Just to get it all done?
Oh, like
no time at all?
So these guys can cut like a field of 100 piñas in a day.
Wow, and they take up a lot of space.
Oh, yeah.
And they would need quite a bit of ground to grow enough for those for 8 years.
Correct. Yeah. I mean, if you think about the difference between agave and tequila to wine and bourbon and
grapes,
vodka, I think you can make vodka out of like garbage. You just put it in the still long enough, right?
Potato.
And they bite. They hurt. You know, they're very thick. They're very hard plant. The needles on the end are like that. They'll go to your bone.
It's all wheels. We should wheel that over.
Yeah,
maybe.
What I'll do is I put flashes of pictures on the video. So
okay.
See it.
So it's something like you won't see this here. Like if he didn't tell me that, I wouldn't know what that was. Actually, I didn't even see it when I walked.
There's 3 of them in here.
Yeah. So what are you gonna do? What are you gonna do when they're 8 years old?
Well, so that's actually Americana. So that plant will grow for more than 20 years.
Oh.
It's a little different than a blue agave. But of course, we live in a dense, a messed up climate. They're not in the sun, so they're inside. So
could you get they'll live lights? Oh, okay. So
these lights,
you don't plan to really harvest them. It's just more of having
just having
cool ass plant.
Actually, and so the way they're grown is cloned. So little babies grow out of the bottom of them, and you cut those little babies out.
Oh, so you can grow more and more and more.
Yeah.
Okay.
So when we do tequila tastings here, I actually have the centerpieces are all little agaves.
Okay.
It's pretty cool.
Yeah, it is really cool.
So if you ever want an agave plant, you tell me.
I want one. I want one.
Cool. So 8 years to become tequila. Okay.
Yep.
And then they crush it with a tohuna or a roller mill. So these are both roller mill tequilas. So that's a big giant thing that smashes the agave and pushes the juice out with water. And then that's after it's been cooked in a stone oven. So one of these, this one, is cooked in a stone oven for 3 days and then takes a day to cool before they crush it. This one's actually cooked in what's called an autoclave, which is like a big pressure cooker.
Okay.
But it's low pressure. So these guys are cooking much like these, multiple days, and then they cool. Then they crush this agave.
One does look darker than the other.
One does.
To me.
And that comes from the barrel, right?
Yeah.
So then fermentation in the wintertime may ferment for 7 days, but in the summertime, only ferment like 5 days.
So where do the barrels sit, though? They sit kind of like bourbon barrels sit in their own warehouse. It's temperature controlled or whatever.
So in Mexico, they do it a little different. Some of them will put them just in a room.
Okay.
And just let nature be nature.
Yeah.
Some of them will put them in a cellar where it's a little cooler and a little more humid. Bourbon, because it's in the barrel longer, the maceration of the barrel changes the flavor.
Yeah.
In the wintertime, it squeezes all the juice out of the barrel. In the summertime, it soaks it all in, right? So you don't have that temperature change in Jalisco, Mexico. So the maceration of the juice is different there. But tequila, affects quicker to the barrel than what bourbon does. So what may take 5 years in a bourbon barrel will only take a year for tequila to do, right? So it changes much quicker because of the humidity and because of the temperatures and because the spirit's different, right? They also don't have the loss, the angel share that you have in bourbon because bourbon's there for so much longer. So a lot of times a tequila will go in the barrel at a little bit higher proof and then come out at a little bit lower proof, and then they use demineralized water or some just spring mill water to bring it down to your 40 ABV. Unless it's a high. Both of these are just normal 40%. Sorry, this one's a 38%. This is a Mexico, so 38% ABV. So, but the aging is, what brings the barrel. So this was a standard American oak. This one is what's called a symphony barrel. What is that? Hungarian, Missouri.
Do they use wine barrels ever?
Yeah, some will use a French cask. Some will even use a sherry cask.
Okay.
There's even some companies right now using a rosé. So they're putting out a pink Blanco.
I haven't seen that.
That's been in a rosé barrel.
Yeah.
Agave has a fantastic one. There's actually a lot out there. Kodago has a great additive-free rosé. If you want to send those to me to put on the show, just send them.
Yeah.
DM me. I'll send you the info.
We'll do another.
So let's do a little blind here. So
all right,
I don't know which.
You want to try dark? I'm gonna try dark first.
I see. So to me, this one is a little dark.
That one looks darker than this. Yep. Yeah, these look the same.
So let's do this one here, right?
Which we didn't pour these. Our good friend Brian Quinn poured these.
Really, he's a magnet.
The only one that knows which one's which.
So and they have a different smell. Like I smelled them a minute ago. Yeah, so the nose on this one, I do get that bourbon smell, right? Yes. Some caramel and some vanilla. But you do still get the agave of the tequila, right? What do you get? Do you get any special smell out of that?
No, it smells like tequila to me.
So Brian can't tell the difference in the flavors.
So this, though, I can definitely tell different. Like this does not.
This one is more mineral-y.
Oh my god, this smells. Trying to think. Almost like a butterscotch to me.
I do get butterscotch.
You smell that?
Yeah, but I also get like a fruit.
It definitely, this one's like just the smell alone makes you want to drink it. So like this, because this is your typical like tequila, like most people, and this is your.
So do this. So
this is different.
So smell it at the top of the glass. Now smell it at the bottom of the glass. See, that's a little different.
Mm-hmm.
And then smell across. Isn't that crazy? How you get like 3 different smells?
Yes,
right. So the taste, you only have one way to taste it, so you can't get multiple tastes. So which one you want to do first? You want to do the darker one first?
Whatever, you pick.
Let's do it. Darker one.
So we just sip it or
dilute? Yeah, let's get a little flavor.
Don't shoot it, right?
Yeah, this is sip. Now, if you were wanting, it's wintertime, you were wanting to sip some bourbon, would you sip that?
I'd sip that. You know what's funny? My mom's full-blood Italian. Not a big drinker, not a connoisseur, but she sips tequila.
That's awesome.
1800. She sips 1800.
Well, we'll switch her over to the.
Probably should. I don't know. I mean,
just invite me.
Yeah,
we'll switch her out.
But again, like she got me sipping tequila.
That's good. That's got a lot of barrel flavor.
It does have a hearty flavor to it. It doesn't have a very big burn because a lot of us relate to tequila that weren't connoisseurs. You get that burn in the back of your throat.
Tequila's supposed to.
It does have a burn, but it's not a.
It's more of a pepper.
Yeah. It's tolerable.
So a lot of baking spice. I get a lot of caramel. I get a lot of oak. I get that bourbon flavor, that oaky flavor right off the top.
I can still taste it in my cheeks.
So that's a good one. I don't know which one that was.
By color, I'm guessing it's this
the Corrado.
Corrido.
I think it's Corrado.
Just by color.
Corrido. Okay.
Try to guess by color.
So this one,
and it's in somewhat of a bourbon looking bottle to me.
Somewhat, yeah.
And that's somewhat like a Bardstown bottle.
It is like a Bardstown bottle.
This one just smells delicious.
This one
I'm glad we saved this for last.
I don't know which one is which, but
Brian's the only one that knows. Brian, you gonna tell us?
I got to tell you, the Costco is one of my favorite tequilas, but I love this one. I mean, I have all their options. So smooth. A little warmer though. Shoot, was it a little warmer?
I didn't feel like it was warmer.
So to me, I had a little more peppery heat in the finish.
Like the roof of my mouth going back, just the flavor.
Still has a barrelish flavor.
It does.
Still get oak. Still get like that bourbonish flavor. Still have an agave on the front. A little floral. This one's the Cusco. That
was that right?
I mean, this one's this one.
Yeah, that was right then.
Yeah. So this one's a lowlands agave, a little more herbal, a little more mineral.
Yeah.
And I kind of get that in it. Where this one's a little sweeter, highlands agave. Both are amazing though.
Yeah, they both are really good. This one to me is smoother. This one is more flavorful.
You know, I got so many different flavors out of each.
They're both excellent in my opinion. I mean, I'm not a connoisseur like you, but obviously bourbon I am. I wouldn't turn either one of them down if I was at the bar or pulling one off the shelf.
I will say this is harder to find.
Yeah.
I'd pull this one off the shelf.
And now that's my goat. That's the one I said I like.
Now here's something that's crazy, right? So 40% ABV, right? So 80 proof, 38% ABV. So 70, whatever that math is. Give me the math teacher.
Which is crazy. You could taste
38 ABV, so you times that by 2. So 76 proof versus 80 proof.
Wow, okay.
Right?
Okay.
So this means what they do when it comes off this twice distilled, both in copper pots, and the first distillation is called ordinario. And then that ordinario, they cut heads and tails, right? Keep the hearts. Then those hearts go into another distillation, and then that's distilled the second time, cut hearts and tails again, which is very, very little at that point. They pull out what's called the punta, which is the highest of the highest ABV.
Okay.
And that's like the distiller share. Okay. And you'll see a lot of like tequilas will put out a punta, which is a high proof.
So like a single barrel bourbon comparison to. So what would I look for on the bottle to tell me like, hey, this is a single barrel or like something?
Okay, so when you have a single barrel, it'll say single barrel.
It will say that on there.
That
okay.
In the tequila world, we have what's called a high proof.
Yeah.
Right. So that's what I was drinking earlier, a Añejo high proof, which is 96 proof. This one right here, that's a 101. We're got a 110 up there. Like, so they pull off those higher proofs. That's usually a punta, which is the best cut. Right.
Which I keep referring to the bourbon world because that's all I know. And this guy's a freaking genius when it comes to tequila. But like in the bourbon world, the higher the content, a lot of times the better the flavor in the pool. Is it just like that with tequila?
Yeah, actually, so the high proofs will actually give you more of an agave flavor.
Okay.
Right. And those are usually in a blanco.
And is that sought after? Is that something people really like?
I just got a 96 proof high proof Añejo yesterday. It's such a fantastic tequila. We're all searching those high proofs.
Yeah.
Right. In Mexico, the proofing of tequila is always lower because the tax they pay is based on what the percentage of alcohol is. Yeah. So
that's interesting.
In Mexico, most of your proofs are 75, 78. Right. But in America,
that's so different.
The base is 40.
Yeah.
40% ABV, 80 proof. But high proofs in tequila are very popular. And single barrels in tequila is a newer thing.
Okay.
And, when you think about what a single barrel is.
Do you think the bourbon world has kind of pushed it? Like kind of shown like, hey, people will pay.
That's part of it, right?
People are going to pay this much more money to get that cleaner.
Well, if you think of what is Blanton's? Blanton's is just a single barrel.
Yeah.
Right? So Blanton's is a tequila that's set in the same Buffalo Trace warehouse that all the other tequilas did. But they figured out that when you put the barrel there, that barrel tastes better. So we're going to barrel that as a whole nother brand, and it's going to be called a single barrel Blanton's.
Yeah.
That's how they made Blanton's, right? So when you look at single barreling and high proof in the bourbon world, it's everywhere, right? And one of my best bourbons up there is an Elijah Craig single barrel high proof, like 140, right? So bourbon is very much like that. Tequila has never been like that.
Yeah.
I think tequila is becoming more popular. Tequila is now the second most popular spirit sold in America.
I feel like they really bourbon took off when bourbon was not popular for a long time, right? For the longest time,
on spirits,
people didn't like
the biggest thing.
EHC. They're one of my favorites. They weren't like $40, $50, right? now I feel like tequila is really starting to ramp up.
Yeah,
Especially
tequila.
you introduced me to things like this. Like I would buy either one of these bottles, and I feel like the more people get introduced to it, the more they're gonna be like, yeah, I just like where did I say I was at last 2 nights ago at Hyde Park.
Yeah,
and we were downstairs in their bar, and the girl brought up this bottle, and you know, before nobody'd ever like bring out a bottle of tequila, say,
Yeah.
hey, try this, sip this.
and now you're like, holy cow!
Yeah. It was
Just like Tony's Steakhouse downtown.
Yeah.
Ruben, the general
first
manager.
place I ever met you.
That's right. It was. So Ruben,
Crazy.
the new general manager there, he's from Mexico, and in Mexico for years they drank cognac and whiskey, and only the poor people drank tequila.
That's crazy.
Tequila wasn't the drink.
Well, here
right?
tequila was just for shooting.
Exactly.
Think about it. Nobody shot bourbon. We drank whiskey.
We drank crappy tequila.
Yeah.
Right. And we shot it.
Yeah.
And over the years, they really changed what tequila is in the country of Mexico. But what I find amazing to me, and we go to Mexico a lot, Mexico drinks 3 or 4 brands: Cuervo, Salsa, Herradura, and Don Julio, which are mass-produced brands. They do a great job of what they do. They're full of additives.
Yeah.
Glycerin.
You've helped me with that.
Yeah.
And what's the one that I had? And I was like, oh,
Right. Clase Azul.
the twist bottle. It's got again. I'm not great with
the
names
bell
when
at
it
the
comes to it. No bell, but it has a shot at the top.
Okay. Yeah, I know what you're talking about, but I forget what that's called.
But
Addictive.
But when but you couldn't get it for a while here,
Right.
and it was. But when I drink that, just like a dirty bourbon or whatever, the next day I felt like shit. I felt bad. Can I say shit on here?
You can't. You say
Okay.
shit. We
I felt like terrible. Although I love the flavor of it,
right.
but I felt terrible the next day, which I feel like with one of these, knowing you, this is cleaner. Like I could probably get a good night on one of these and feel somewhat maybe groggy, but not like a head pounding.
0 additives, right?
Yeah.
So that brand you speak of, they add glycerin, so you have a good mouthfeel. Okay. They add a sweetener that's 8,000 times sweeter than sugar.
It's definitely, you could, I think that's where the headache comes from.
Well, they also add caramel coloring.
Yes.
Because when you put a tequila in a barrel.
Yeah.
Okay. So I'm going to show you something. This is called Ocho. Okay. So this Ocho is rested in a bourbon barrel for 6 months. So look how clear that is.
Yes.
This is a year. Okay. 18 months probably. I don't know on Costco. The same 18 months. When you start comparing it to bourbon sits in that barrel for 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 12 years. So when you pour, let's say, Clase Azul, right, which I could climb up there and
No.
and you pour it in the glass, and it's as dark as a bourbon, but it's a repo, which means it's only been in a barrel for 6 months. Well, what dirty ass barrel did they put that in?
There's bourbons like that too, though. Like that they bring it out prematurely, or not prematurely. They're just trying to mass produce, and it doesn't taste very good.
Well, and that's because they add glycerin for mouthfeel.
Yeah.
They add some sweetener. They add caramel color.
Those are the ones that give me the headache. Like
Exactly.
it's Buffalo Trace, delicious. Buffalo Trace. I mean, it's inexpensive bottle.
I just moved a big bottle.
Yeah, inexpensive.
I moved
Woodford to me is another good go-to. I mean, you got a lot of great stuff up there. But I'm telling you right now, I would like to have one of these on my shelf. I'd like to pull one of these out one day with my buddies and say, hey, instead of drinking the bourbon tonight, let's try this.
So
then we can drink it.
You can go to siptequila.com.
Yeah.
Siptequila.com is a company out of Florida.
Okay.
I don't get paid to say this. I don't know these guys.
He said siptequila.com. We can spell that.
I so wish that I would get paid. Siptequila.com has some of the best tequila options to be able to order. Sobro Spirits in Broad Ripple.
Okay.
Phenomenal. You tell me you want to go, I'll meet you, we'll go. Let's do it. They got some great tequilas. But it is finding the true additive-free premium brands. So if you don't know how to find that, and I'm going to give you a tip today, get on your phone, go to your app store, download Tequila Matchmaker.
Okay.
Tequila Matchmaker is a free app. There's no advertising. It's freaking phenomenal. It has a database of every tequila made. As you know, every tequila has a NOM number.
Yeah.
Okay. So that NOM number tells you what distillery this tequila is made at.
Yep.
And if you Google that NOM number, it'll tell you what they make, how they make it. And every single tequila has one, right? 1123 for Costco Wien. What is it? 1474 La Atena for ocho. And this one, I know the distiller is Anna Marie, and the nom number, it's 1412. 1412.
But you talking about like trying to like match make the tequila. I remember years ago, my old neighbor Bill Galvin, bourbon again, right?
Yep.
He said, "Hey, we're having bourbon tasting."
Right.
And I didn't know shit about bourbon. I was like in my 20s. I was drinking cheap stuff, whatever. And I went over there and I kind of figured out, I like this, I don't like that. I feel like once this gets more involved, where they have the bourbon taste or the bourbon tequila tasting,
Right.
people will become it'll grow even quicker.
That's where this nom number and Tequila Matchmaker can help you. So,
Okay.
like if you think about, you mentioned Colonel Taylor.
Yes.
Great bourbon made at Buffalo Trace, right? And we talked about Blanton's made at Buffalo Trace.
Yeah.
And everybody likes Buffalo Trace. And Pappy Van Winkle made at Buffalo Trace.
Crazy enough,
right?
I'm not a big fan of Pappy.
But it still comes to the same place.
Yeah.
One of the things that bourbon doesn't have that tequila does is that nom number, right? So think about it. If they put on the bourbon bottle the distillery it was made at, they probably do, but not in a actually official number, right?
Not as detailed as this.
Right. And this is incredibly regulated by the CRT. It's like when they are doing a barrel and they close that barrel, and let's say they want to blend that barrel with another barrel, they have to call the CRT, which is the regulating committee of tequila. They have to come to the distillery, watch them
where's that located at?
In Jalisco.
It's
Guadalajara,
Mexico.
Yep. And the CRT will send a representative. They'll watch them open the barrel. They'll watch them blend the barrel. They'll watch them close the barrel. And they can't open that barrel again unless that regulator is there.
Wow.
Right? So the regulation of tequila is like,
I don't think, bourbon's not like that. No.
It's crazy.
Yeah.
So when you think about what they do in tequila and the regulation of it and how it's produced, it is an amazing spirit. So Tequila Matchmaker will tell you, where it's made. But one of the cool things it does is if you start rating the tequilas you like, it'll actually build you a profile of the taste that you like. Maybe that it's made in an earthen oven, or maybe that it's a stone oven, or maybe it's an autoclave, low pressure. Maybe it's a Highland agave or a lowland agave, or maybe it's distilled in a copper pot or a stainless pot, or maybe it's fermented in a certain way. And it'll build this profile. So then when you're at the liquor store and you're looking at a tequila and you put in the nom number, and it'll tell you how it's made, and you look at it and go, oh, well, that's not like the ones that I like. And it'll help you shop for and still, look, here's a great thing.
Way more intense than I am.
But I'm a resource. If you're at the liquor store and you say, like, is this as good? And you send me a picture, I'll tell you yes or no. Like, I'll send you pictures.
I'll search it.
You're like,
imagine that. Don't do that. That one's shit.
I think
you're the one guy I think about. Like, if I am looking at tequila, just like 2 nights ago, whatever, I sent it to you, and you're probably like,
hot garbage. Hot garbage.
You're right.
You can try it if you want to.
Yeah.
Well, Sean, thanks for coming on. I appreciate you being here.
Sharing this with me.
Oh, no worries. I love to teach about tequila. Tequila is like my second favorite thing. Mortgages and real estate. That's number one. It pays the bills. I love it.
Amazing lender.
Amazing mortgage or real
answers like that
all the time. So thanks for coming on. I appreciate you. We'll get this posted up. And I know you got a lot of tequila friends.
Yeah, I do. Oh, yeah.
And we got a party coming up November 9th. I know you're going to be here. Bring your tequila friends.
All right.
Okay. And the whole night we're raising money to bring water to a small town in Jalisco, just outside of the distillery of Atanasio. And we're going to help bring water to families. And water is life. And I appreciate you being here.
Thank you, Brad.
I look forward to seeing you on November 9th.
Oh, definitely. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
See ya.